once people have gotten into politics at a certain level, then they become the decision makers, and then they edge everybody out. And that is why today, if you are not in APC or PDP, you almost don't stand a chance, because they have cornered the political structure at that level. And it's almost impossible to set up another party because of the cost thereof to challenge them. So I think, Faruq, maybe you can re-emphasize how people at that level have cornered the structure of the political parties and make it impossible almost now for any other kinds of people to come.
Okay, thank you very much, Pastor, for that. You are very correct with your question, and I will emphasize it in practical terms. So let me use one of the political parties as an example, which is the People's Democratic Party. The party has a constitution. The latest constitution is 2017 constitution, and it breaks down the hierarchy of leadership into various levels. We have the ward executive, we have the local government executives, we have the state executives, and we have the National Executive Council. And what happens is that the ward executive, the party follows the structure of INEC. So INEC has what we call registration areas. So these registration areas also doubles as ward executives. And in every local government, we have various registration areas. And all the polling units, this political party also followed all the polling units. So in every all the polling units in Nigeria as of today, People's Democratic Party has a structure. They have an executive council unofficially at the level. So if PDP comes out today now and say, in all the polling units in Nigeria, we want to have 10 Nigerians, the party is going to get it easily. And what that means is that now INEC is saying they want to commence voters registration. If they are going to commence voters registration, it will be done based on polling units or registration areas. So what it means is that, and the regulation on voters registration permits INEC to allow political parties to have 2 representatives to monitor the voter registration process. So what you find is that even when it's time to register voters, there's a structure in place for political parties to have representatives. And it says that the political party can have as much as 2 representatives in each polling unit. So what you find is that whenever INEC opens the floodgates for registration, the political parties are ready because they have their structures in place. So when it's time for campaign, when they want to paste posters all around the community, they already have people at the grassroots, at the polling unit. So communication is very seamless and communication is very easy. And when it's time to have campaigns, people who go for campaigns, people in the offices, people like us won't go for campaigns on a regular basis. So if we say we're having a rally somewhere now, those that will go there will be maybe artisans or those who work around that environment. So, and all these parties, they have local governments, they have executive council, a minimum of 18 in each ward. So when you have people in all these levels that have occupied all these positions, when it's time for election, if you want to confront them, you'll be starting, it's like you've lost the election before you start, because if you want to start a party now, or you want to start a structure now, you need to have representatives in all the polling units in Nigeria. Where are you going to get that from if you don't live in that community? And these people that PDP political parties use in those communities know the communities very well. They know where the good places are, they know bad places, they know the topography, they know how to campaign, they know how to go into the forest. So the structure is so entrenched, it's so solid. Just last week, PDP had their zonal convention in the Southwest, zonal congress in the Southwest, and everybody was in Oshobo. So they built structure. APC recently, they are doing membership drive, and their membership drive is in all polling units. So people go down to polling units to go and register. So, and I read an interview last week, the youth leader of APC saying that if APC wants to win the election in 2023, they need an additional number of 6.2 million voters. So they know, they are prepared. When they say they are doing membership registration on update of membership, what they are indirectly doing is they are doing voters registration. Because all these numbers, when it's time for INEC to start registering voters, all they need to do is to send messages to all the numbers they have and say, you guys go out and get your PVC. So before people like us or people who are not in parties try to mobilize to get people to go and register, you find that the political parties have mopped up all the names in all the units. Because in all units, they can say, we need 10 names in all the units, write their names out for us. We want to give them a job. We want to do Shopee. We want to give them a government. Like government now, they are doing something they call, they give people 20,000 naira per month to give them a job, temporary job for 3 months. And they are collecting names. They are collecting PVCs. So the structure is so entrenched in the system that if any other person wants to come and challenge them, you need to work for several years before you can meet up with them.
I think people on the platform, you can see that it's really a tough one. And this is how a lot of us elites have almost abdicated our responsibility by not getting involved and not encouraging our people to get involved. Somebody was saying on the platform that we need to amend the Constitution to increase the level of qualifications before people can run for office. Faruq, what do you think about that?
Yes, I agree that there's a need to increase the level of qualification. But the truth is that I don't think that can happen. And I'll tell you why I don't think that can happen as of now. Why I don't think that can happen is that the majority of people who participate in politics now are the local guys, are the grassroots people. And quality of education at the grassroots level, the level of education is very low. Averagely, I'm sure if you go to any political party, whether PDP or APC, any state of the federation, if you say you want to look at their executive council members, both ward, state, and local government, and you want to find out number of graduates there, I can tell you for free that you can't get up to 10% of graduates in any political party in Nigeria in terms of their party structure. That's the leadership structure. You won't find. So when you have this kind of position, if the constitution is going to be amended, it has to be amended by the House of Assembly, by the National Assembly, in unison. So if majority of the people at the National Assembly and House of Assembly now were sent to those places by the farmers, by the laborers, those members of the House of Assembly or National Assembly or the National Assembly cannot, in good conscience, say they want to raise the bar by making it minimum of university qualification. Because if they do that, they will be earning the wrath of the people who vote in the community. Because what they will say is that, oh, you have become a senator now, so you want to prevent us from getting there, you know. So when they say minimum of school sat, why they use minimum of school sat is that school sat is still a little bit manageable. A lot of people in the grassroots, they still manage to go to secondary school. And they too aspire to become governors or become House of Reps or member and all of this. So until we have, but if we have solid professionals who were sent to the National Assembly or the House of Assembly by the elites in the country, by elites participating fully, then we can drive it. But now, talking about the current crop of leadership that we have at the National Assembly or the State House of Assembly, I can tell you for free that if that kind of proposal is made, it will fail, it will fall flat. Because the current crop of legislators we have don't have the confidence to make that kind of epoch-making legislation, because it will change a lot of things. So for now, that's why they say school sat, school sat, school sat. And again, let me tell you, Pastor, something happened during our election. I saw some people that they had university qualification, but when they were filling their qualification in the INEC certificate, INEC form, they didn't write their university certification. They wrote their school sat. They underplayed their qualification. So when I saw this kind of stuff, I was wondering what can be the reason for that? Is it that they are not sure that they graduated for the university, or what is it? So they now said, you know what, they are trying to edge. At least if anybody wants to challenge their university, at least they know they cannot challenge their secondary school. So you find that some people even have masters. When they are filling their form, you will see school sat. I mean, I know at least about 2 graduates that I saw with my eyes that when they were filling their form, they wrote school sat. And I know that at least they told me that they are graduates. So I don't think, for now, I don't think it will happen.
Maybe they were not really graduates and their graduation is a bit suspect. And they don't want to end up in the law courts. So this is very, very serious. And this is why we keep complaining and grumbling in Nigeria. A lot of us who are educated, the elites of Nigeria, we sit around tables, grumble. But you can see clearly that the foundation is faulty. The bottom-up process is faulty. And those people have really taken our politics and our leadership process by the jugular. And unless we all go back down there to try and dismantle it, we'll be just talking ourselves till we're blue in the face. So this is a very, very serious revelation that you have brought to the fore. And I want everyone on this platform to please think seriously about it and begin to think of what we can do. Now, the roadmap to 2023, Faruq. What do you think 2023 is going to look like? What do you think is going to happen in Nigeria in 2023, maybe at the state and then, of course, at the federal level? Well, how do you think the dice is going to roll?
Okay, thank you, sir, for that question. Well, regarding the roadmap, what I see happening is that I'm excited because I see that a lot of Nigerians who didn't used to talk about voting or election in the past, Everybody is getting more interested in the process. People are waiting for INEC to open the portal. So I see a situation whereby the participation in terms of voting will increase significantly. Registration will increase significantly. Voting will increase significantly because a lot of Nigerians are enthusiastic now about the whole voting and election process. And in 2019 election, there was an amendment in our constitution regarding lowering the bar to allow more young people to come into politics. And they called it youth. I forgot, I can't remember but there was a slogan they used, not too young to run. Yes, not too young to run. And based on that amendment in the law, statistically, we saw that there was an increase in the number of young people who participated in elective positions based on that amendment of the law. And this NSAS protest that happened reinvigorated a lot of youth. A lot of youth didn't used to talk about governance, who were not interested in Nigeria, who had lost hope in Nigeria. They are now more passionate about Nigeria. So I see that a lot of youth and Nigerians will get more involved. And if you recall, in 2015, when President Muhammadu Buhari ran for president, the goal at the time was anything but Jonathan. Let's take out Jonathan. Let's take out Jonathan. So it appeared as if Nigerians were in agreement. A lot of Nigerians were in agreement that they wanted to send President Jonathan out by all means. So everybody worked for that goal. And that was why President Buhari, who had lost election about 3 times prior to 2015, now won that election because a lot of people rallied around him and saw that we needed to send Jonathan away, whether for good or for bad reason, but they needed to send Jonathan away. But now, as of date in Nigeria now, everybody, there's a consensus added them. There's an agreement amongst generality of Nigerians, majority of Nigerians, that there's bad governance in Nigeria, that the economy is almost in shambles, that the health sector is not good, education sector is nothing to write home about. All the sectors are probably are most likely in comatose. So there's that agreement. So now, having that agreement that everything seems to be bad, it appears now that the goal in Nigeria now is that we must get it right. We need good governance. We want a president who will participate, a president who can speak to us. I watched Joe Biden's speech last night about how they're going to evacuate all their soldiers from Afghanistan. You see a president talking, answering questions. But in Nigeria, we don't have that. All we see is press statements from special advisors. So now there's an agreement amongst Nigerians that we must have good governance.
Yeah, the one who said it, Faruq. Press statements was, I didn't say so.
Well, sir, yes, it's a matter of fact. It's a matter of fact.
The one who said it, they are looking for me up and down now. You are the one who said it to us.
Yes, sir. So now there's an agreement that we need good governance, and we need a president who will be participatory, a president who will be active, a president who can write articles, a president who can speak off the cuff, a president whom can any gathering will talk without reading prompters. So now there's that agreement. So what I see now, another thing I see happening now is that there's a likelihood that some people will leave PDP, leave APC, and form a third structure. But now it's too early for us to look into that to see whether it's going to happen. But what I know is that 2023 election will not be about, are we voting for a Christian or a Muslim or a Northerner or a Southerner? It will be about capacity. Can it give us good governance? Can it give us good governance? That will be the question on the lips of majority of Nigerians come 2023. So I'm excited about it. And I know that those who will show interest and those who will gather traction during the campaign will be those who have capacity and those who have competence. So that's what I see as the roadmap. But along the line, politically, whether PDP, whether APC, there's a strong likelihood that people will leave PDP and leave APC and come together. If those kind of people come together to form a third force and they pick people like Pastor Ighodalo and other people who are not active politicians now to join their force, then I see that kind of political party pulling a lot of weight, winning a lot of National Assembly seats, House of Assembly seats, governorship. They might not win presidency.
Faruq, can you repeat what you just said again? Let the people hear.
Yes, sir. What I said is that there's a likelihood if the good people in PDP leave, some good people in APC leave, and they come and choose people like Pastor Ighodalo and other professionals who are not active politicians to buffer them, to come together and form a strong third force. Then that strong third force will win a lot of governorship, they'll win House of Assembly, they'll win National Assembly. They might not win presidency. But I'm very confident that if you have that kind of structure, then they will win a lot of elections. And why I'm saying this is, you look at the likes of Wole Soyinka, Gani Fawayemi, Patu Tomi, all these eggheads. The reason why they've always lost elections in the past is because they don't have that political structure. They have the ideas, they have the competence, but they lack the knowledge of political structure. But if you take people from PDP and you take people from APC, then you now take the professionals, then we'll be very organized. Then if we are very organized, we have a strong chance of sending APC out, because APC now, people don't like, the level of love Nigerians have for APC has declined significantly. In America, they test the ratings of their president on a regular basis. If you test the rating of APC now from 2015 to date, I'm 100% sure that it will have gone down from 100% to about 7% or 6%. PDP as well has also gone down. So both of them are like in bad shape now. The only thing that can bring either of them up is if they give us a solid candidate whom we are sure that will perform. But because of the brand, and people have associated these brands with failure, then they might not be able to go very far. So if we have a third force comprising of solid politicians, 25% of the good from PDP and APC, then professionals like Pastor Ighodalo should be the majority. Let's say professionals should be about 50%. Then you take APC 25%, PDP 25%. With that 100%, we'll move mountains in Nigeria and we'll win a lot of. So even if we don't win the presidency, we are still going to have good governance in Nigeria, because what we have now is that our National Assembly is impotent. House of Assembly in Lagos, all the states in Nigeria are all impotent. They are lackeys to the governors. They can't confront the governors. They can't confront the president. But if you have House of Assembly populated by people sponsored by a third force, then they can look the president in the eye and tell the president that, the president, you are going on vacation, you are going for medical checkup in London. Why didn't you hand over to your president, your vice president? You have a capable vice president. Why are you scared of handing over to him? Use his capacity, use his resources, use his competence. Don't just shove him aside, so we can have that. And we question the president. And if the president does not perform, they would impeach the president or impeach the governor. So that's the map I see going forward, because both parties have shown that both parties have a lot of crises, that it will only take an act of God for them to survive those crises.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one simple question. Do you know a lot of the politicians in PDP and APC that will be ready to do this 25% and 25%?
Oh, yes, certainly. Because I'm involved, I talk to a lot of people. I'll start with APC. The problem with APC, some of the people in APC is when they talk to people like us in private, they are confident to express themselves openly. But when they come on public, they can't talk for whatever reason. But now they are about to do their convention, their convention, national convention. The national convention is supposed to hold in June, but there's a strong likelihood that it's going to be postponed. If it's held in June, there will be a massive fallout. If it's postponed, there will be a massive fallout. And when that fallout happens, those who will control the party will now be in a fight against those who lost out. And those who lost out will be looking for another home where to go to. So we have a ready market in that. So in those ready markets, we now have to sieve out of them and select and look at the ones we can work with and choose the one we want. In PDP at the moment right now, there's also some form of crisis in the party as well. The Southwest just had their Congress last week. There's a fallout. Some people are not so happy. The Northwest Congress ended up in fracas last week. They're going to postpone it again. And the PDP is supposed to have its national convention by the end of the year. They're also going to zone the presidency. When that happens again, there will be a lot of fallout. So we can identify. But personally, in my local government, politicians, they say all politics is local. In my own local government, we have like minds who will work together, and we are all about good governance. And I know that if the gong is hit or the whistle is blown, and there's a credible alternative where everybody can come together, we will see ourselves. Some people will not come immediately because they'll be scared that these guys, do they have the resources? Can they go with the battle? But when they see the traction that is gathering, then they will start coming. Some of them will send their people and say, you guys go first, let's see what you can do. So when we show that capacity and we show that organization, then people will start coming in droves. But when we start the game, they won't come immediately, because politicians, they like to observe and see what's going to happen. They won't come immediately. So the way you can attract them is by showing competence and showing that you have to do something different. Somebody on the platform was saying, can we amend our constitution to say that we only give people who are educated offices? This new party can even have it in its constitution that for you to run for this kind of office in our party, for us to give you the ticket, you must have this qualification. And the courts have held that a political party has the right to decide who may give this ticket to. So if Nigerian constitution has decided to lower the bar by saying that you should only have secondary school graduates, secondary school certificate holders to contest for president and House of Rep, a new party can have a constitution saying that if you are running for chairman upwards, you must be a university graduate. But if you are running for councillor, you can be a secondary school graduate. So when we are talking to our people in the grassroots, we can let them know that, yes, you guys that don't have qualification can go for secondary school, can go for councillor, but for chairmanship, we want you to be someone educated. And the reason why we're saying this is that we know that in the past, those that we have been putting there lack capacity. So our own party is different. So if a party comes up with that and puts it in their constitution, that before you can run for an office in our party, you must be a graduate or you must have these years of experience or something. Then everybody will know that once this party is bringing any candidate up, that candidate is got to be a serious candidate. So I think that's the way we can go about it. So, Pastor, to answer your question in summary, yes, there are people that are willing to join, but some of them don't have the confidence and they are scared. But if they see the traction that you are going to pull, when they see that you are running, you are meeting with people all over, and you are gathering momentum, people will start coming in. And politicians like to operate at night. They don't operate during the day. Some of them will start calling you at night that, okay, don't worry, we are behind you, but we can't show our face now. We are waiting for our convention in APC to hold. Once we fail in that convention, then we'll come and join you fully. So it's a gradual process. But I can assure you that a lot of people are willing to come on board because both parties are in total shambles. They are having a lot of crisis now. That's only the grace of God can save the crisis.
Okay, Faruq, I'm going to ask you one more question. If this third force is unable to come up, what are the alternatives that we have? And how do we ensure that we have great leadership come 2023?
Okay, yes, sir, that's a good question, sir. If the third force option can't work, then the other option we have is for Nigerians to join both parties. APC is still doing their membership drive now. You can join it if you agree with APC's ideology. But PDP is going to start the mother of all registrations. It's going to be an electronic e-registration. It has never been done in the history of Nigeria, any political party mobilizing members through the internet. So PDP will start theirs later in the year. If you are interested in joining PDP, then you can wait for the online registration. Anybody around the world can join to become a member. Join these political parties, become members in the political parties. When you become members in the political parties, I can speak of PDP. I know PDP is going to be having congresses for all the states towards the end of the year. Most of the current ESCO now, their tenure is about to expire. So when you join these parties, immediately you join the party. Don't just join and go and sit down at the back. When you join, meet to your ward executive council, meet to your state executive council, tell them that you want to participate actively and sponsor people to run for offices in those parties. When you sponsor people to run for offices and you have people holding structures in those parties, then you can now build on that to say you want to run for office generally in Nigeria. And I will tell Nigerians the difference between, a lot of people say APC and PDP are the same side of a coin, different side of a coin. They don't have any difference. I will tell you there's a significant difference between APC and PDP. If you study the life of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, you will see that his philosophy in life was to work around a small cult, a small core, a group. So any group Chief Obafemi Awolowo belongs to, there's always a small group of people, about 7 or 8 of them small, who will determine the affairs of the multitude. So they are not so democratic. They believe in a feudal kind of system, in a monarchical kind of system, whereby the godfather, the leader, is the one who tells them, go for this, go for that. But in PDP, you dare not try that. PDP is extremely democratic. PDP is a party that gives chances to anybody. So long as you can mobilize your people, you can run. So if you are the type you believe in democracy, you believe in aspiring for office, you believe in testing your strengths, popularity in your local area, then go and join PDP. But if you believe in the feudal system, in the monarchical system, in the system whereby you cannot talk until they tell you to talk, you cannot aspire until they tell you to aspire, then you can go and join APC. So let us join these parties en masse. And when it's time for us to choose leaders in those parties, participate actively, sponsor people, give them money. In my own zone now, I have a friend who just became the youth leader of PDP in the Southwest. His opponent was about 49 years old. But the constitution of PDP says that before you can run for youth leader in the zone, a youth means somebody who is less than 40 years old. And some people wrote a petition against the other candidate, and he lost. And our friend won as a youth leader. So the youth leader in the Southwest of PDP is a personal friend, is a good friend, and is a very vibrant comrade. So we can't just be in a party and not have access to the leadership of the party. Join this party en masse and take over the leadership of this party, work with some people like mine. And when you take over the leadership of the party, or you are part of the leadership of the party, then you can have a say on the kind of candidate that the party presents. But if you're just a floor member of the party, you don't go for ward meetings, you don't donate money to the party, you don't talk to the executive council, then you're not going to be able to make any progress. So, but even if there's going to be a third force, nothing stops us from still joining these parties, because the third force will still come up maybe later in the year. When you are moving en masse, you have a mass from PDP or you move from APC. It's not good to just stay aloof and don't be anywhere. You have to belong somewhere. So let's go and register as members of the party. But personally, I will encourage you, PDP, I think PDP is a little bit more democratic than our brothers on the other side. Pastor, you are muted. You are muted, Pastor.
Thank you, Faruq. I'm sorry about that. What you're saying, Faruq, is that if we don't join any of these parties, we really don't stand a chance. You know, I don't know if that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, Pastor.
You say we don't stand a chance. Somebody here is saying you're advertising your party. Why not? If you want democracy. All right, anyway, So this should tell the people on this platform, especially those who think that politics is dirty and they don't want to get involved. If all you do is attend Nigerian leadership spirits from here till tomorrow and you don't join the political party, you are almost wasting everybody's time. That's the truth. You are really wasting, because nothing is going to happen unless you get involved, unless you enter inside that place. So we must all find how we're going to enter into one place or the other. And the truth is that enter any one of those parties and become a person of influence there. So because by the time they start choosing who the leader is going to be, you will not be there to say, I don't want this person or that person to be leader. You don't want this person or that person to run for presidency. If you are not in APC, you cannot decide who the next presidential candidate is going to be from APC. So let all of us go and join a political party of our choice, and let us then also register to vote in a place where you will go and vote. Not that you register to vote in Abandabi, and then when on voting day you are eating ice cream in Ikoyi, and therefore you feel reluctant to go and vote. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't get involved, it will not evolve. If we don't get involved, it will not evolve. Okay? A gentleman called Samuel Dada is raising his hands. So I'm going to please ask Samuel Dada to speak. Can you all hear me? Are you having difficulty hearing me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, all right, good. So Samuel Dada, please raise your question very quickly so that we can take as many questions as possible today.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Faruq, I love your submission when you said if we can have a thought force. I have a problem with people joining APC and PDP because there is a language you have not mentioned. They call it godfatherism. So I don't see anywhere young people will join APC or PDP and they will have a say because they must queue. I've met with some politicians that they've told me while I came home that you guys have to join us. Maybe by the time we go, then you'll be there. Maybe, and that may be in 20 years' time because we can't push them away and they make decisions. That is what we call internal democracy. So this internal democracy, it is the headers of the party, the big wigs, the stalwart of the party that determines who to be. So I don't know, what do you say about this? Because last week, we never mentioned anything about godfatherism, and today also. And I know it exists in the party. What can you say about that? Thank you very much.
I think Samuel, he did mention it, but I'll leave Faruq to answer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He did mention it, but he didn't call it godfatherism. He called it, he said one party was more democratic than the other, and another party, you had a small core of people who took decisions. That's the way he put it. He didn't quite use the word godfatherism, but Faruq is of age. He can speak for himself.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Dada. Yeah, that's a good question you asked. The concept of godfatherism in itself, if you look at the history, the origin of the concept is not a bad concept because it has to do with mentoring and apprenticeship. In any profession, before you can become a leader, you have to go through a school. You have to be an apprentice. You have to be a mentee before you can come of age. But when the godfatherism is now about sponsoring you to milk the government or to steal money from government, that's when godfatherism becomes a bad concept. And the reason why godfatherism in Nigeria is so entrenched and why it appears to be a problem is because the average Nigerian they don't support their friends or they don't support people who are running for offices. So if somebody wants to run for office and he doesn't have people to support him, and you now have one person bankrolling him, that person sees it as an investment to make money. And that's why the concept of godfatherism in that regard appears to be bad. I can assure you that even if you have a third force today and you don't collaborate with people from APC and PDP, the third force, the ship will sink at the harbor before even leaving the harbor. Because how do you want to understand the system? How do you understand the terrain? So when we bring people from PDP and APC, they will be godfathers in quotes. They're not godfathers in the real sense of the word, but they will be telling us, they'll be giving us guide on how to go about it. So the way to challenge godfatherism is when somebody is running for office now, and everybody comes together, different platforms come together and say, can you give us your budget for your campaign? How much do you need for your campaign? We'll print posters for you. We'll give you buses. We'll give you biscuits that you share for people and all that. And they bankroll your campaign in droves. I saw a report saying that in Twitter in Nigeria, we have about 3.6 users of Twitter and about 29 million followers, people on Facebook. If we have just 2 million Nigerians contributing 1,000 naira for a presidential candidate, that's a lot of money. If you have that kind of fund, that presidential candidate does not need a godfather. All he needs is people to guide him here and there. But when somebody is running for office and he spends 100 million on his campaign and a chief somewhere gave him 95 million naira, of course, that chief will be his godfather. So the direct way to counter godfatherism is don't collect, like when I was running for office, I didn't collect bulk fund from anybody. People just gave me money in trickles here and there. And there were about 60 of them. And I avoided it. Somebody wanted to give, I don't like it because I don't want to say that you'll be controlling me. I'm a vocal person. My dad brought us up to be able to speak our mind. My dad tells me something. If I don't agree, I tell him. And my wife is always surprised that, look at the way you're arguing with your dad. I said, that's the way he trained us. So if I can talk to my dad and I can debate with my dad, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't debate with anybody. But if you collect money from somebody in bulk, automatically you can't talk because who pays the piper dictates the team. So the number one way to eradicate that kind of godfatherism is don't make yourself subservient to anyone by collecting money in bulk from that person. Let's crowdfund. Let's get money from a lot of people so that you have your sense of independence. But godfatherism because I am still a student, I have people who guide me. I consult people. I talk to people who give me advice and I learn from them. I learn from people on this platform as well. So I can't say I don't want mentors or I don't want to be an apprentice. So to answer your question, any party you go to, even in America, even in the Democratic Party, President Joe Biden wouldn't have won the ticket if the mentors in the party, if the godfathers didn't support him. Sanders was already flogging him. Everybody was flogging him. He was not the top 3 candidates when the campaign for presidency started. Donald Trump took over the Republican Party from the godfathers. He went in and he ripped the party apart and took it over from them. So we have people that can confront godfathers. But in Nigeria, we need to work with them. But if they are not subservient to them, they will respect you and they won't tell you to do what you're not supposed to do. So I don't know if I answered your question, Mr. Dada.
Well, you spoke fine. I love the way you really understand the system, to be candid. You know very well, but I still believe that the godfathers, they determine everything. Because I remember when Bola Tinubu wanted to bring in what's this man's name? Ambode. There were 12 people. He brought in Bible. He said there were 12 tribes of Judah that the father decide. You can imagine that is what they do. Even though the party, when Ambode was trying to do the second tenure, when they were doing the primary, the people that was to conduct the primary election, I saw the video. They said if anybody should vote behind Ambode, they will be beaten off. That everybody should go behind Sanwo-Olu. That we have a father, Asiwaju. He has told us who to vote for. So this is what godfathers do in Nigeria. You may be right in that your definition of mentorship, but in case of Nigeria, it is not to mentor, rather it is to select. And once you select, people will never do anything. We need to elect instead of selecting. That is what godfathers does. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dada, let me respond to that. Pastor, I hope you don't mind me responding to that. Pastor Ighodalo.
Quickly, yes, go ahead.
Okay, yes, quickly. Let me quickly respond to that. Mr. Dada, let me remind you, when Fashola was the governor of Lagos State, Governor Raji Fashola, he was going to go for second term. But at the time he was going to go for second term, there were some clamors in the party that they shouldn't give him second term ticket. And it was rife. But the so-called godfathers didn't have a choice to use him because he had performed and he has showed capacity. And I can assure you that if Fashola had not been used as second term in APC or whatever the party was called at the time, if he had gone to Labour Party or PDP, he would have won that election hands down. Let me give you the example of Obaseki. When Obaseki was in APC, the godfathers in APC didn't want him to go for a second term. And he confronted them. And he went to PDP and he won the ticket. So if you have a governor who has performed within 4 years, the 1 million godfathers cannot make him lose an election. But if you are a mediocre, if your performance is lackluster or is average, then any godfather can send you away. But if you have someone that is a performer, Nigerians will come out and say, we want this governor. We love you so much. And it happened during Fashola's time. And it will happen again. If we had a governor that has been building bridges, paying everybody is happy, paying these teachers, paying salary, building roads and all that, Nigerians will speak up. I didn't speak up for somebody. And neither did you, Mr. Dada. You didn't speak up for somebody. And I can't see people who spoke up for him. So there's a reason why they didn't speak up for him. I'm sure if he had done above average, I don't want to score him because this is a live program. I'm sure Nigerians will have spoken up for him and the godfather wouldn't have had a choice. And I can assure you, this same godfather you're talking about, after Tinubu left office as governor of Lagos State, he wanted to go for Senate in Lagos West. But when Ganiu Solomon said he was going to run for Senate, he stepped down for Ganiu Solomon. He withdrew because he saw the handwriting on the wall. So godfathers listen. But when you have a candidate that is lackluster or is average or below average, they can easily shove you aside.
Yeah, thank you very much, Faruq, for that. And I think that's a wonderful explanation. And that's a very, 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 very incisive of all these things. So now it seems as if Nigerians are looking for some kind of performance and so on and so forth. I'm still going to ask you a more loaded question and a more focused question as to what to do come 2023. But let me allow Ariola to ask her question. I assume Ariola is a lady. Her hands have been up for a little while. Please, Ariola, ask your question very quickly, and then we'll take Princess Adeswa or Sime, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Ariola, please. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, Pastor. Good evening, Pastor Ituah. Good evening, Faruq.
Hi.
My name is Ariola Oloko. Yes, I asked the question last week. I contested the last election under the Social Democratic Party. And it's interesting that you've already ruled all of us out and decided that there are just two parties in Nigeria. Because all you're saying is APC and PDP. There are other parties that are serious-minded. I contested, like I said, under the Social Democratic Party. We have our structure in place. I went through more than even you went through, because being a female, you can imagine if you did half of the things you said you did, and I had to do them, and even more because of being a female. So I'm saying that, yes, I agree that we need a third party, a third force. But at the same time, I think we still have other parties, that we have people that are really, really good. In the process of contesting and going around debates and town hall meetings, I met a lot of brilliant Nigerians, young people, that are in parties that, for whatever reason, but they are very, very good. So I just don't want us to just rule out the fact that there's just PDP and APC. I mean, I went to meetings at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I was in the Social Democratic Party. We have all the wards, we have our leaders, we had our Congress, we had our convention. We did all those things. So saying that it's just PDP, APC, I'm really not comfortable with it. Then I wanted to say something about last week. Last week, I asked the question. I said, what alternative do we have? Can we sort out an alternative to the structure that's already in place? Because all I heard you say last week, I didn't want to take you on it, and it's not something to take you on. And I'm pleased. I'm not coming here to challenge you or anything. I just want us to reason together. If we keep going on and doing the same thing, giving people money, giving people this, people get that, how long are we going to sustain it for? Why do we not, instead of doing the fire brigade approach, why do we not solve the problem? Why do we not look at what exactly are the problems? What are the issues we have in Nigeria? Healthcare, education, things like that, housing. How do we find a solution to those problems? And how do we lobby to get those problems solved? That's kind of thing that I would like us to debate about and talk about. Yeah, this is a process that has to happen. We have to have credible people. We have to have people at a higher qualification than what it is right now, because it's ridiculous. I'll tell you a story. When I was going to go and get registered, my first party I registered for was APC. This morning I got up and I said, look, I can't be saying I want to do politics. I'm not in any party. I got all dressed up, looking fancy, went to the local government place. When I got there, I was fainted in my tracks, because the person that was there to receive me, I couldn't believe it. They were actually eating bread and sardine at the time I got there. So you can imagine, and it was an office. It was early in the morning. And these are the people that are in power, because we've left it alone for too long, like you have rightly said. Because we keep saying that, oh, rubbish people are the ones that go to politics and all that. But how do we actually sit down, strategize, put in structures and put things in place and solve the problem? I'm looking for a Nigeria where we're solving the problem, not covering it or doing an approach that is halfway. How do we get at it? Yes, but a bit one step at a time, but let us be focused on getting the problem solved. So that's my challenge to you right now. Thank you.
Okay, Ariola, thank you. Are you back from your trip? Are you back in Lagos?
Yes, I am in Lagos, sir.
Very good. So you and I should see as soon as possible.
Okay,
over to you. Yeah, let's see as soon as possible, please. Over to you, Faruq. You have to respond to
yes, sir.
That.
Thank you, Ariola, for your brilliant contribution. I mean, I like to learn from people on this platform and meet up with new people. And I'm happy that you ran under SDP. I must have missed that out last week when you mentioned your question and your experience. So I'll tell you the reason why I ruled out SDP and other political parties. I'm from Osun State, and I can tell you that in the last election in Osun State, SDP participated in that election. The governorship candidate for SDP was Senator Yola Omishore, and he left from PDP to go to SDP. And he actually had a good showing in the election. He had over 110,000 votes, and he didn't spend money to buy any voter. He's the only governorship candidate in Osun State out of the top 3 governorship candidates who didn't give people money to vote for him. So he had a good showing, but he came from PDP to go to APC. But when we had our rerun election, Senator Yamla Mishore decided to support APC. And as we speak today, he has moved back to APC. All the supporters have joined APC. Even the national vice chairman of SDP in the Southwest, Honorable Bade Falade, a former member of the House of Representatives, is from my constituency, is my leader. I talk to him from time to time. He has also moved from SDP back to APC. So the truth, if we don't want to deceive ourselves, the truth is that SDP, all those kind of parties are just ad hoc parties. When I say ad hoc parties, they are parties for people who lose out in the main parties and they need an alternative platform. Of course, SDP won an House of Rep seat in Ondo State, Small Alaji. Small Alaji was in APC. He was the SLA to a member of the House of Rep, and they had a fallout, and he ran against his boss as SDP. But as we speak today, from my findings, Small Alaji is now in APC. In Abia State, in Anambra State, Mr. Ifeanyi Uba contested for Senate under Young People's Party, YPP, and he won his election. He was able to do that because he was formerly in PDP. So the truth is that most of all these third party, like SDP and all that, their candidates are usually from the major parties. As we speak now, in my local government, there's no SDP. In Osun State, SDP has gone to PDP and APC. So we will be deceiving ourselves. Jerry Ghana just went back to PDP last week. And Jerry Ghana was one of the major leaders. He ran for president under SDP, but he has gone back to PDP. So the truth is that in terms of structure, when I say a party that has structure, APC and PDP, they have their ward meetings every month. They have their ward meetings, their local government meetings in all the states in the federation. So they are not just a party that is strong in Imo State or strong in one senatorial district or one local government. And if you want to do politics in Nigeria, you need a party that has resources, that has network cutting across. So as we speak now, how many members does SDP have at the Senate? How many members do they have as of assembly? There are few. So if you want to be practical and realistic, all the problems you said we should solve in the country, the health challenge, education and all that, you can't solve those problems if you are not in government. How do you get to government? You can't get to government if you don't belong to the mainstream party or a third force, a credible third force. SDP, they were in court throughout last 2019. Until I'm not sure they are the presidential candidates because they were in court. Donald Duke and Jerry Ghana, they were in court up to the Supreme Court. So they fought the party, and now the party is practically in shambles. You know, so if you want to be realistic, is the sad truth. Before we can solve our problems about education, about all these things, we need to be in government first. You need to go for election and you need to win elections. A party that does not have presence in all the states, in my local government now, I can tell you that there's no SDP. So if you run for an election in my local government now, SDP will fail. So that's why I'm happy that you said it yourself that you went to APC today to go and register. If SDP was that viable, I'm sure you wouldn't want to say you want to go and join APC. So
no, not today. I said I was I said I went to APC at first before I moved to SDP.
Okay. So Madam Mariola, you can come to either PDP or APC, but PDP will be good for you if you come to PDP. We can work together because we are everywhere until we now go to a third force if there is a third force. But going to SDP and all this, you just waste your money. That is the reality. And that's why Ganifa and me tried it. Patutomi tried it. We have a lot of people who have tried it in the past, and they didn't. Most of them, when they win election, they go back to APC or PDP. Go and look at the records. And we have to speak based on facts, based on current, what is happening now, not based on theory and all of that. So if you want to speak based on theory, then you can say SDP, people want to be collecting money and all that. It's not going to work. I can tell you for free. At least in my state. I can't speak about your state, but in my state, I can tell you that there's no SDP in Osun State anymore.
Okay, thank you very much, Faruq. Ariola, you and I will talk later. Let me allow Chief Ephraim Faruqi to ask his question very quickly, and then we'll go back. So, Chief, please unmute yourself and ask your question very quickly.
I don't think, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And, I was supposed to go for my medical this evening, but I had to cancel it. I think my topic here is advice and some questions. Now, if you don't nip the corruption on the board, that's one of the biggest problems you have. Because, for instance, take APC, for instance, they are registering underage children. So when you talk about presidential election or governorship election, PDP will be bringing out, asking you and I to vote. Meanwhile, APC is bringing in foreigners into Nigeria. They're all there in the north. How are you going to do about that? Because they are going to vote. The last election, we all saw underage children voting, thumb printing. So how are you going to do that? That's number one. Number two, until you make a law to say, if you win election on SDP platform, you cannot move over to APC. This is part of the corruption we're talking about. Some of us, at our old age, even when we were young, we did not join political parties until later. But when you see what the things that are happening, you just withdraw and leave it for our children. And unless you have a third force, as Faruq has said, a fresh third force, not SDPC, not any other political party that has existed, fresh, have a third force afresh. And then also you need INEC. INEC is another problem. And if all of us join that third force and we're contributing 1,000 each or 5,000 each, I think that political party will start. When I was young, Awolowo used to come to our house in Port Harcourt. And he went around all our people. I think AG that time or something like that. The fact remains that until you nip that corruption, the younger ones do not have opportunity of getting into the presidency. And also, the younger ones are also corrupt. They have been corrupted. And that's the honest truth. And take, for instance, I know one or two governors. We used to dash them money. One of them used to sell telephone by hand, going to Bodetom or sell telephone. He became a governor. And he's one of the richest Nigerians. We're not asking, how do you make your wealth? The presidency came, Barry came to power, all of us, including me. I made sure it was a decree to my family, everybody, that you must vote for APC for Buhari. And what happened? Where are we today? Is worse than, APC is worse than PDP or Jonathan. Jonathan and I are from the same area. We voted him, but when in 2015, we had to vote him out. I was one of those who voted him out. I'm saying it publicly because he did not do well, not knowing we were going to get more corrupted. It's true. I was director of fund mobilization, Friends of Goodluck Jonathan, in 2011, and we raised 2.4 billion for him. What happened? So the younger ones need to be revived. No, hold on. The younger ones, you asked me to come to this forum because you've been bombarding me with it.
What I'm saying is that you must raise that money again. That's what I want to tell you. So start looking for how you are going to raise that money. And this time it must be 4 billion. No, you're not that old. Chief, you and I are brothers. You can't run away. You must raise that money again.
Because of this political situation, I decided not to know anybody. I've never had any contract from any governor, my state governor. I have never asked for contract. I have never even asked for that. But take, for instance, my state. When the Northerner visits Bayelsa State, he goes away with nothing less than 5 million welfare. When we, the senior citizens of Bayelsa, go to state, we are not getting one dime. You see what I'm saying? So there is this intimidation that the young ones have relieved PDP, leave APC, form a different brand new party, and then task anybody 1,000, as Faruq said, 1,000 or 5,000, and you will make it. Cut these people off, and they're all corrupt. They are all corrupt. Your House of Assemblymen are loafers. In Lagos, some of them, we know them. They were all, loafers around. We give them welfare. And as soon as they get there, they don't do any other thing because they are being well paid. A senator is getting 33 million a month. The other one is getting 25 million. So why would they work? So make it also a part-time. Amend your constitution. Until you do those things, we're not going anywhere. I think that's...
Thank you very much, Chief. But you have to raise this 4 billion. So
I'm old. That time I was young.
So start thinking about it. We won't take only 1,000.
I was young that time.
You can still do it, Chief.
When it happens, we will be there.
Okay. I trust you.
We need that. If not, my grandchildren's future is blink.
Honestly, the way things are going in
Nigeria, the youth need to come out and take the bull. Some may perish. And the problem is that we Nigerians we don't have the energy to sustain a strike or to sustain anything. 2-3 days after, they give you bag of rice, and that's you've forgotten about it. Then the next 4 years, they come and bring another 1 bag of rice and so on. We are not able to sustain a movement. That is one of the problems Nigerians have. And because of hunger. So you don't blame them too. Thank you.
Okay, Chief, thank you very much. Faruq, do you want to just leave that as a comment, or do you have anything you want to add to that so that I can take a few more questions quickly?
Yes, I have something I want to add to it. Chief has raised a very valid point. And one of the things I want to say is that there's a regulation governing, there's an INEC guidelines for continuous registration of voters, 2014. What this regulation says is that after INEC registers any voter, they are supposed to publish a preliminary list on a weekly basis of the people they registered in those communities. Anybody can complain to INEC that these people you have registered are not Nigerians, are underage. And INEC officials who also register people have the power under that same guideline to refuse underage voters from registering. But what we find is that when it's time to register voters, you don't see the elites there. You don't see them there. You don't see the professionals at the polling booths.
Faruq, go back to the tape. Go back to the tape of Jega when Orubebe protested. Go back to that video. You will know. You will see what I'm talking about. INEC, unless you have somebody who is independent, who is not afraid of anybody to be an INEC chairman, as long as the INEC chairman comes from a certain part of the country, he is not going to do that. They are underage when you are registered and so on. Do you know how many of them that have Nigerian passports today? How many? They come from Niger, they come from Chad, they come from Senegal, everywhere. How are you going to do that?
Okay, all right.
Pastor Ighodalo, this is something that should be tested. Pastor Ighodalo, there's no precedent in the past that we've had Nigerians complain about registration of voters in a procedural manner and they didn't take any action. That is where movement like this can come into play. If we have those people that are underage voters and we can identify their names, let's write to INEC and let's compel them. Then when they don't now respond to that, then we cannot take action. But we can't if we just talk on social media and say they're registering underage, there's a procedure, there's a form you fill and mention the person's name. Even when you're registering voters, the INEC officer is supposed to ask for a birth certificate if you're not sure, or evidence of citizenship of Nigeria. If we have evidence to challenge this thing in a coordinated manner, let's start striking per polling unit. Because politicians will always be politicians. They will game the system. They will bring their underage people to come and register. But if other people challenge them, in my polling units now, I gave an experience last week. I don't know if Chief was there. In my polling units, we have a lot of Nigerians, foreigners who register to vote. And we told them that if they come out on election day, we will arrest them. And they didn't come out. And we had an agreement with them that they must never vote. And they are over 25 in numbers in my polling units. And that's because we stood up to them. If we didn't stand up to them in my polling unit, they will vote. So let all of us go to our polling unit. If you are sure that the law says that you can only register in a unit if you work in that area, if you live there, or if you are from there. So if you don't live there, you don't work there, and you're not from that area, you don't have any business. If INEC does not respond, let us file a lawsuit and let us challenge INEC. Then organizations like this can sustain those battles. And like Chief rightly said, the last point before we close the point on this, Nigerians don't have the energy. I agree with him that we don't have the energy to sustain a movement or a strike. We like ad hoc, a knee-jerk approach. Look at the Save Nigeria group that came up when they were preventing to swearing Jonathan as the president of Nigeria. Immediately after that crisis, or when we're campaigning against increments in the fuel price, the movement died down. Look at the NSAS movement now. The NSAS movement has practically died down. So now we need a movement of Nigerians that will mobilize people and that will be sustained on a regular basis to fight and address all these issues. That's my thinking, sir. And we can't say nothing can. I mean, President Kennedy said it. The only uncertain thing is that nothing is certain. Anything can change. We cannot say nothing is impossible and we throw our hands in the air. We must confront the system. We must confront the system. And I believe that we can achieve it. Yes, this is a quotation. The one unchangeable certainty is that nothing is unchangeable or certain. Nothing. And Napoleon also said it. Impossible is a word to be found in the dictionary of fools. So let's confront the system. Northerners will bring Niger people. Even Southerners bring young people to vote, to register. Everybody does it. But we have to confront it. If we don't confront it in our polling units, then they will have a field day. That's my taking on that, Pastor. Okay, no problem. Let's move on very quickly so that we don't spend too much time. We're going to take a series of about 4 questions. Princess Adesua, Ibrahim Pam, Okwemiko, Babatunde, and Bade Oyewole. I want to take those 4 questions
30 seconds each. So Faruq, just note those questions so that we can pack in as many as possible, and then you will respond. Princess Adeswa, Ibrahim Pam, Okwemikon Babatunde, and Gbade Oyewole, please, very quickly. Unmute yourself. Princess, are you with me? Unmute yourself, ask your question very quickly. She didn't hear me. Okay, so maybe Ibrahim, can you unmute yourself and ask your question quickly?
Thank you very much, Pastor Ituah. And thanks, Faruq. I think we all are very happy to see you back again today. I have only 30 seconds. I want to challenge the stereotypes. I think Faruq is speaking from a position of being an active participant in the political process right now. So he has deep insights which are extremely useful. But I think he also, as a young person who is engaged in mass mobilization, understands the use of modern methods of mass mobilization. Let us not bring the methods of 1960 into the context of 2023. We're talking here about the roadmap to 2020. And Faruq is referring to voter registration. Voter registration commences in June. How do you, between now and June, gather enough momentum to bring mobilization to bear so that people register en masse? Let me just say one thing, because the time is really short. Big Brother Nigeria, according to multimedia, garnered 900 million votes. Let that sink in. The margin of victory for the president of Nigeria in the last election, I think he won about 15 million votes. The power rests today in social media as a tool of mass mobilization. And the young people showed it last year when they were doing the NSAS campaign. Let us think about how we can use these modern methods to create mass mobilization. The only way you're going to win an election is to organize. And I think Pastor Ituah, when Segun Oshutokun spoke the other day, we talked about this. Organize, use social media for mass mobilization, and get your act together. Believe me, I agree with Faruq about PDP and APC. The fact of the matter is before 2023, there might be a third force coming into play, but it looks more likely than not that these two parties would determine the leadership of Nigeria. Let's be very practical about this. We need to engage with them. There are people on social media, young people who have 2.5 million followers, 3 million followers, 5 million followers, comedians. I mean, these are the people today who are the social influencers. We're not going to do house-to-house campaigning. You're going to use mass media. And I think, Pastor Ituah, from your experience with the youth, especially last year, you were able to exercise influence over a large number of people. In an election in Lagos State where Governor Sanwo-Olu had, 700,000 votes to win the election, you can mobilize 2 million young people in Lagos and create a massive change in the political scenario. And you can do this by social media. You need to have strategic solutions and not tactical solutions. We have big problems. We don't apply minutiae as solutions. You have to have a strategic approach that generates the right solution. But anyway, let me stop because I don't have enough time. I'm very happy to engage with this on a personal level, to do some strategic thinking about how to use the methods of mass mobilization and political socialization to create change, even within this short period. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. That is noted. Faruq, please note that you can speak to that. I don't know if Princess Adeswa can unmute herself now so that you can ask your question. You have to unmute yourself. You are not unmuting yourself. We can't hear you. Loretta, unmute yourself. Again, she's not getting it right. Okay, I said, Gbade Oyewole, can you unmute yourself, please? Okay. Okay, she's got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Bade, just give her a minute. She's been able to unmute.
Okay,
Just
sir.
okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Very quickly, please. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I was listening to what Mr. was saying and what Chief said. Chief Ariola and Chief spoke partly my mind. You cannot put new wine in the skin, you know. What Faruq is saying about having to PDP, preferably PDP or whatever, I don't think that's work. We need to have a good plan. We need to have a strategy to have people with like minds, people with reformed minds. We cannot allow the present people, the old politicians, continue to rule their affairs. Yes, they have the money, but if we mobilize, as the last speaker did, using social media, what we need is people. Take the Catholic Church, for instance. The Catholic Church, they have money, but they have it from so many people who give them 5 naira, 20 naira, 15 naira. If we can mobilize people, the ordinary man in the street, all they have to do is trust. Once they have trust and confidence, based on your track record of your goodwill, your PR, that's what we should use to win people over. Once they have that trust in you, whatever you can do within your community, have that trust. But what we should do is get people who know people who can do this job, people who are fulfilled in life, people who are contented, who are not going there for money, who need the money. They can do without the money. Instead, they want to work for Nigeria and take them forward. But as long as we allow the old politicians to be there, they're still going to take over. They're still going to use their money power to buy people over. So joining PDP or APC, I don't think that is the way. We need to plan and have a strategy to have a new force that can be reckoned with, that will use PR, the masses to bring in their naira, 100 naira, and make the money that is needed to run the party. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adeswa. Unfortunately, your connection wasn't so strong, or there were some interruptions, but I get the gist. What you think is that we should do a lot of social media mobilization and create a new force and not go backwards to the old politicians. Okay, that is noted. Bade, please, very quickly.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Pastor. It's a privilege. Mr. Faruq, job well done. Thank you for what you did here last week. I'll just have 2 or 3 questions for you, Mr. Faruq. Number 1, is this system we are running working in Nigeria, the presidential system, is it working in terms of cost? That's number 1. Number 2, don't you think the Constitution of Nigeria should be amended to remove all the juicy nature, all the largesse of these politicians? That is why some people, they make sure they do go to extra length to make sure they get to power. So because of the attraction, because of what they are getting there. And number 3, don't you think there are unseen forces in presidency? Because if somebody that has good intention gets to presidency, the tide will change. There will be another person entirely. I remember somebody, he was in Patito's gang in those days. The moment he crossed over to the other side, the story changed. Don't you think there are unseen forces there? Mr. Faruq, that's just my question. Thank you very much, sir, Pastor.
All right, thank you very much. I will mention the name of the person in Patito's gang the other day, but I will tell him to come after you. All right, Okwebiko, you look like a youth. Let me hear a fresh perspective from you. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Good day, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can hear you.
Indeed, I am a youth, and I'm very privileged to be here.
How old are you? How old are you? You look 17.
No, I'm 24.
24, okay. 6 years difference. All right, go ahead.
So for me, I just tend to look at it I just want us to look at it from a different perspective, or from not just one angle, particularly as regards to the system. I do not quite believe that we will be able to make drastic changes in a very short time. I think we need to, just lay one brick at a time. And I also think that it's very good if we are strategic, in the sense that to build a national framework, it takes a lot of not just resources but time, a lot of resources generally. And if one finds an opportunity to go into governance with either of the major political parties, I don't think we should discourage it. I think indeed we should encourage it, because at the end of the day, we are looking out for the individuals. At the end of the day, we are looking out for people that would perform in those capacities. Indeed, there would be hurdles to cross in each of these political parties. But if that's the fast way to get in there, we need people there. We need people in the houses. These are people that will make changes. But looking at building a structure from scratch, although it could go a long way, I think we should not just look at it from that angle. I think if we can build a structure, that would be great. I mean, that would be encouraged. But if one has a strong footing in, say, the APC, it's good to go in there. I mean, someone like Fashola came in on that mantra, and look at what he's done. So I think we should look at it from every possible angle, and that's just it for me, sir.
Thank you, Okwemiko. I hope you have a very strong social media following, and you're influencing like 3 million people, because we're going to need your Facebook account very soon. Because I like to. Okay, Faruq, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. I must commend everyone for their brilliant questions. It was quite interesting. I'll start from Mr. Ibrahim Pam. His question was, how do you get people to register to vote? And in answering this question, I'll just give the scenario that happened in 1964. Abat Ogunde, when Chief Awolowo was jailed, Abat Ogunde released a song called like a drama, Yoruba Ronu, Yoruba Ponda. And when the song started, started going viral, the government at the time banned the song. So what that simply means is that entertainers have a good way of mobilizing the masses. And we saw this during the NSAS protest. I don't like comedy a lot, but I watch Mr. Macaroni and I enjoy him, and I watch Don Jazzy at times. I watch AY Live. People there's a way they can shape people's perception. Faz the Bass guy, all these guys, we can use them, social media. And like you said, Mr. Pam said, social media, President Obama used social media to raise his campaign, to raise funds for his campaign. Donald Trump practically used Twitter for his campaign. He was using Twitter heavily. So if we have 29 million users of Facebook in Nigeria and about 3.6 million users of Twitter in Nigeria, and we have a lot of people using WhatsApp, let's deploy our arsenal into this regard. Let's call all these our artists, tell them to stop singing about ladies and money and cars alone. Let us commission them to sing about voters registration, to sing about good governance. And when they sing, let's promote these songs. And when everybody starts to hear about it, that's the way you bring about civic duty and responsibility from citizens. And it has been done in the past. For Akintola's government to ban Yoruba Ronu, that was published by Abat Ogunde, it goes to show that music goes a long way. So let us call our musicians, our social influencers, let's call everybody up, put up all these things, and we use it to mobilize people to come and register to vote. And we can start from now. We don't have to wait until INEC opens the portal. Let's start from now. Let's commission them to do that. So that's the way I think we can do this. And I think it also happened during the NSAS campaign. We use social media for NSAS. So I think we can do that. Then Princess Adesua mentioned that we should use third force. We shouldn't, APC and PDP, she doesn't think that that's a good option because the parties, they both made mistakes in the past and all of that. And that's the honest truth. But the truth again is that, like I said last week when I came here, I said a dead clock is correct twice in a day. And I'm happy that Okwemiko also said it, that Fashola was produced by APC, and he did excellently well. Even as a minister, he's trying his best, although he's not doing as much as we want, but he's trying his best. So the truth is that we can't push away these existing parties. It's not done anywhere in the world. Even Donald Trump took over the Republican structure, but he still had to use some establishment guys. The robes in Republican, you can't push those guys away. In the Democrats, so if you come into Democrats, you can't push some established people away. So some of these people have good intentions, but they've been corrupted by the system. But when they see people like Pastor Ighodalo and people who are credible reaching out to them again, they will comport themselves. They will adjust themselves. But why they are moving towards corruption is because they don't see anybody to pull them away from all these things they are doing. They don't see anybody to pull them away from it. And I mean, I think it's in the Bible and it's in the Quran as well. Joseph, when a woman tried to tempt Joseph, Joseph said it was the grace of God. We call him Yusuf in Islam. It was the grace of God that prevented him from going with the lady. So he admitted that temptation was real. Temptation can go against anybody if you are not strong. So in the Quran, we say, run from temptation, because if you try temptation, you can fall for it. So in PDP and APC too, let us, for the sake of argument, concede that some of all these good guys have been overtaken by temptation. But when they see some other good guys who reawaken them, they will wake up, and we can. But if we say we want to push them away and start a third force, who are the guys that will run it? Who are the guys? Even to draft the constitution of the party, Bola Ige was the one that, the late Bola Ige was the one that drafted the constitution of PDP and ACN back in those days, AD, Alliance for Democracy. It was the same person that drafted the two constitutions. So for you to even draft the constitution of a political party in Nigeria, you need someone who is experienced. And I don't see any political party who will draft the constitution today that will not go to PDP and APC to copy the structure. You have to copy the existing templates that we have on ground, but we have to make adjustments because the system cannot be overhauled totally. We have to make do with the good ones and try and learn. So that's my response to Princess.
You have people like Falana. You have people like Falana.
Yes.
Then
to answer Mr. Gbade.
Okay, that's noted, sir.
Okay, yeah, right.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
You can hear me? Okay, yes. To answer Pastor Gbade, Mr. Gbade asked that, is presidential system working in terms of cost? I must agree with Pastor that the presidential system is not working in terms of cost. Because last week when I came here, I mentioned that we know some political office holders that before they got elected, they didn't have good cars, they weren't wearing nice clothes, their coats were torn, their shoes were torn. But the moment they got into office, they never wore any of the clothes they wore during their campaign. They never wore it in office. For the past 3 years, we have been observing them to see what they are wearing. All the car they used during their campaign, they are not using it anymore. They've upgraded their lifestyle and all that. So it's a disincentive and it's not working in terms of cost. And I agree that there needs to be a change to reduce the cost of governance, to reduce how much you pay to your special advisor. You see somebody in the House of Assembly, you see them using customized plate number, you see them driving 2019 cars. All these things, they are passing the wrong message. So let us reduce it. I totally agree. I don't agree that it should be part-time because governance is serious business. Even some of the members of the House of Assembly, you see them sleeping in the parliament. So if you make it part-time, I don't think we're going to achieve much because if you see the ones that want to work, look at Fashola. When Fashola went into government, he had gray hair immediately in less than 1 year. Even look at Pastor Shibajo, he has gray hair. When he first became the vice president of Nigeria, I have some friends who work with him. They work till 2 a.m. They read, they work very hard. So if you really want to work as a government official, 24 hours is actually not enough for you. But if you are going there to loaf around and to go and embezzle money, then of course. So I agree that we should amend our laws to reduce the remuneration of, there's no sane country in the world where political office holders earn more than professors, earn more than teachers, earn more than doctors. Our doctors are going to London, going to Canada, going to America in droves. So we have to bring them back and we have to disincentivize governance. It's only people that have the good intentions, people who have means of livelihood that are able to sustain. So I agree with Mr. Gbade on that. Then the last question that Mr. Gbade asked, that are there unseen forces in the presidency? I will not say there are unseen forces in the presidency. I will say there are unseen forces in politics. Because the truth is that if you go into this office or into politics unprepared, you will do what you are not supposed to do. I gave you my own experience last week about how I was invited to so many traditional herbalist people and all of that to come and carry guns, to do all sorts of rubbish things. You know, if I wasn't prepared or if I didn't have the guidance of my father and some other people, I might have fallen for it and the grace of God. So public office in Nigeria is such that you must be spiritually fortified before you delve into it. If you are not spiritually fortified, if you go into it, you will change overnight. It's a no-brainer. If you are not spiritually fortified, because you can feel it, people will move close to you and you will sense something that, when I went into politics, when I was growing up as a child, my dad used to tell me that I should be fasting on Monday and Thursday. I never listened to him. For almost 32 years, I never listened to him. I never fasted on Monday and Thursday. I only fasted during Ramadan. But when I went into politics, nobody told me. I started feeling it and I started fasting once in a week. I couldn't do twice in a week, but I started fasting once in a week. So Nigerian politics is such that if you are not really spiritually fortified, I can tell you, you are going to be changed. And you will do what you're not supposed to do. And I also read the article by the journalist who said, he said when they went into Aso Rock, there were a lot of bad things happening. That is the truth, because the average Nigerian politician is very fetish. They invoke all sorts of genes, all sorts of spirits, just to achieve worldly gains. But if we have good people in all these things, in politics, we wouldn't do all of that. Well, I can imagine the pastor Ighodalo in politics now. Why would he want to go and be invoking genes and be using herbalist? What is he looking for in life? Is it food he wants to eat? Is it car he's looking for? Is it exposure he's looking for? Is it countries, London, that he was looking for? He has been going to places right from 17 years old, 15 years old. So what is he looking for? But you have somebody going into public office that has never gone to an embassy before, that does not even have, he has never driven any nice car, has never used an iPhone before. Then he goes into the office and he starts buying iPhone 12. He will get excited. They want to drive big cars, things they've never done before in their life. And that's why you see them misbehaving. going up and down with 10 mobile policemen. What do you need 10 mobile policemen for? We see people in Dubai, we see the leaders in Dubai, how they move around quietly without making noise. But in Nigeria, somebody gets into office and he comes and they start making noise, start blowing siren, going with 20 mobile policemen. For what? So I agree with you that there is this force in politics in Nigeria that converts people. But the way we can confront it is when you believe in God, either a Muslim or a Christian, believe in your God, hold firmly to your God, then those spirits will not be able to take over you. But if you are not strong spiritually, either as a Muslim or as a Christian, I can tell you for free, they will hijack you when you get into office. And that's what's happening in Nigeria as of date. Okpemikpo said my mind. He said it will be difficult to build a structure. I mean, I believe if you ask me for my preference, although I belong to a political party, I will tell you for free that my preference is for us to have a third force made up of PDP. You know, APC, why APC had the problem was that APC was not formed for good governance. APC was formed with the sole aim of chasing PDP out of government. And they've achieved their goal. And when you achieve your goal, you must go down. They've reached the anticlimax. You must start going down. They can't go up again. They have to go down. But if they have formed the party for good governance, real good governance, then they will continue to thrive. So now, any third force we are going to form now shouldn't be about chasing, of course, we can't chase Buhari away because he has to go in the next 2 years. Should be about bringing in good governance. It shouldn't be about making a Christian president or making a Northerner president or a Yoruba man president. Our goal now should be good governance. How can we bring out all our brains in diaspora back to Nigeria? How can we have a good health system so that our president will not need to be going to London for medical checkups? How can we have good education so that we don't have to send our children to London for education? Good governance should be the goal of this new party. If our goal is good governance and the Almighty God sees our intention, we are going to achieve. But if our goal is to make somebody president or just to get presidential power, then we are going to fail. Because when that person gets elected, he won't be prepared for the office and is going to fail. So in summary, I agree with Okpemikpo. I think we should all join hands together. We are on this program. Coming on this program alone shows that we are willing to work for Nigeria, but we should take it a step further. Whenever we are called to attend meetings on Zoom or to come for physical meetings or to donate our resources or to post something on social media, let us be civic. Let us work for Nigeria. Let us give back to Nigeria. If we give back to Nigeria, Nigeria will give back to us. But why we're having problem in Nigeria now is that a lot of us don't give anything to Nigeria. We are just milking Nigeria. We're not paying our taxes. We're taking from Nigeria. And it's a law of nature. If you are taking from someone, the person cannot give back to you. But when you start giving back to the person, give back to the country will give back to us. So let us start giving back, and God will bless us and help us. Then this issue of vote buying, all those things, those are minor issues. By the time we start our real mobilization, sensitization, going to the grassroots, and the pastors are talking, the imams are talking, then we're going to solve that problem. But now people are not talking about it, which is why we are where we are.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the close of this program. I'm sure everybody is enjoying Faruq. And I'm sure they like to do a night vigil here to fortify ourselves spiritually, because the man has said that if no spiritual fortification, no election. Thank God, me, I fast 5 days a week. So me, I'm very fortified. I'm ready to go. Faruq, you are doing only 1 day. You have to increase. So me, I'm doing 5. You have to join me and do at least 2, because we have a battle ahead based on what you've said, and it's a long battle. Chief Aologi says he's going to raise at least 2 billion for us, so I'm going to hold him to that. Chief Esalo, you're not running anywhere. And I'm sure Ibrahim Pham will bring us some money from Korea, where he is, so that we can start to drive this battle. I'm sure my sister Bambo has some English pounds to send to us. And my auntie, Mrs. Morgan, I know where Uncle Timmy kept the money. So, Emma go here, politics. It's a lot of money that we need. Odion, all the money in the Ohimi. Let's do this thing and let's make this thing work. And Bade will be expecting you to bring some funds also. We need money if we're going to make this thing happen. Well, I'm just going to take 3 questions and then we must close. Next week, we're going to have another very, very vibrant speaker. Somebody's going to expose to us a few things again on this platform so that we can actually start a movement. One thing I'm taking away from what Faruq has said is that if APC could form a movement to chase away PDP, then we must try and form a movement for good governance, which is the thing we need to be looking at, which is where this time around APC has totally, I'm sorry, they have not done well at all in terms of giving us the kind of governance that we want. Nigeria has been not pushed so far to the brink in a long time, and the Naira is totally battered, hungry faces on the road all the time. And what is more frightening now is that they say we can't talk. but talk we must, and we must gather together and get in good governance. So I'm going to ask Pastor Bayo Selere to ask his own question, Abdul-Samad Omole to ask his own question, Elijah Adeoye, and then I know Odion Charles will not let me rest if I don't get him to ask a question. Or maybe you want to pass this time so that I can take somebody else. Who? No, I'll take Abimbola Atitebi. Abimbola Atitebi. Somebody who hasn't spoken before. Charles, okay. Let me get somebody new, please, so that they won't accuse me of favoritism. We're talking good governance here. So next week.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yes, Pastor Bayo, very quickly. Honestly, 30 seconds, pam. Okay. We must close. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you also very much, Faruq, for all your contributions. Thank you. First of all, I think if my own recollection is right and correct, let's correct that impression. I think the objective of APC was for good governance, was mostly for good governance, not just to chase out Goodluck Jonathan. It wasn't that alone. It may have been derailed, as we are seeing, but it's not really for just to chase out Goodluck Jonathan. Then the other one I see is on the fact that, which Faruq may need to shed some light on, is about the target, the actual target audience of all this effort. This our aspiration, this our desire to have good governance in the country, to have actually good dividends, to be able to have dividends from good governance, dividends from intention, let's say good intentions of leadership. In order for us to have those dividends, we have two parties that are keenly involved. We have both the leaders and we have both the citizens. Without the two being able to rhyme together, I don't think good governance can ever be delivered in any society. So our target, which is the voters, the eligible voters themselves, their mindset needs to be sensitized. No matter what laudable objective or laudable visions any leader can have, if you don't have people with the correct mindset as the citizens, your vision can never work. As for example,
okay, Pastor Bayo, we'll note that. Otherwise, we'll be here till next
exactly.
week.
So we need to also focus on how to actually, work on the mindset and prepare the target audience. Because without them being prepared, what anybody will be inheriting is just a wrong set of citizens, and it will be a failure for leadership. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think my brother Charles has made his comment on the platform. If we have time, he will reinforce it. But let's take Elijah Adeoye. Elijah, my brother, please, very, very brief. We are really running out of time. Very, very brief, please. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pastor Ituah. Nice to talk to you again. My question is this. We do all this preparation for election and all that, but I've seen, at least read about situations where there is a disconnect between the votes and the voters. For example, how do you get rid of, let's say, somebody wins, and then when they go to broadcasting, somebody else's name is mentioned? And also, how do you get rid of having to have soldiers and in a police booth? What are they doing there? So those are some of the things, because we can do everything right, But if they want to rig and they have the ability to rig, how do you manage that? That's my question.
Okay, thank you very much. Faruq, note that so that you can quickly respond to it. Abdul-Salaam Omole, please unmute yourself, ask your question. 15 seconds now. We're counting down.
Good evening and thank you for having me. This is more of a thought process. A lot has been made of the third force and third force. I'm like, why don't we work towards having a value-oriented people? Like, why are we focusing on the third force, APC, PDP? Why are we not looking at our values? Why are we not challenging the values? Why are we just looking at the party as if it's not the people or the leadership that are in the party? Why are we not looking for leaders that are ready to challenge the structures? Who have the values? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Faruq. That's your question. Abimbola Atitebi, please ask your question very quickly. If you've asked your question, you can put your hands down so that I know those who listen. Abimbola Atitebi, very quickly. 15 seconds.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Faruq. So my question essentially is, are we not supposed to first understand, look at the foundational issues of Nigeria and marry to the issue of politics? Because the country at the moment, well, since 1999 or perhaps even since 1960, has never really belonged to the people. And until we correct those foundational issues about returning the country to the people, whether it's even something as simple as land or resources, right? And return it back to the people and make the people the determinant of their own destinies and their future, whether it's a constitutional correction or whatever, we're probably going to be going in circles whereby politicians, with whatever guys, PDP, APC, third force, will hijack the system, and we're going to be living in a plutocracy or an oligarchy eventually.
Okay, thank you very much. That is noted. I think that's about all we can take. Adiolu Allen, you want to ask a question? No. All right, Charles. Adiolu, one minute, one second.
All right, thank you very much, Pastor.
1 second, one
also
second.
Faruq. I have actually been trying to ask just a question to Mr. Faruq, that what are the action plans for engaging the youth, precisely the youth in Nigeria, in this movement for the third force? I think there's need for us to have an action plan for this third force, because all have been said, I must confess, the youth are having fear in going into politics, and I have quite a number of them that
I think we lost him. Anyway, his network is not good. What he's saying is that what is the plan for engaging the youth? And I'm going to ask Adiolu to come and see me. So Faruq, please answer all these questions and give your closing remarks in 1 minute. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pastor. I will start from Abimbola's question. We talk about the foundational issue, that shouldn't we address the foundational issue before we go forward? Because without addressing the foundational issue, we're still going to have problems, because it looks like we're going in circles. What I understand him saying clearly, although he didn't say it he didn't say it categorically, talking about maybe our unity in Nigeria. Yes, I don't belong to the school of thought that our unity is not negotiable. But you know, the truth is that for you to have frank discussions about our unity, we must have representatives who are actually representing us, true representatives of the people. Now, the truth is that if you have a senator being elected with less than 100,000 votes, which is the Lagos East Senatorial election, can you really say that senator is representing the people of Lagos East Senatorial District? So I think what we need to do is, first of all, let's go out en masse and participate. Let's elect our true representatives of the people in Nigeria. Then when we get to that stage, we cannot have the discussion. Do we want to remain as one? And I believe that we want to remain as one, because the truth is that even in Yoruba land, we have our issues. So it's not about whether we break ourselves into 20 countries or not. But I agree that we need to have a conversation about our unity, about our constitution. The constitution was foisted on us by the military, and we deserve, instead of amending it in scattershot manner, in piecemeal manner, let us sit down, when we have our true representatives. And I think Jonathan tried to do it by having the confab conference, but unfortunately the report was thrown away. But I know that when we have true representatives of the people, we can have that. So I'm sure. Then another thing he mentioned was federalism, whether we should talk about people controlling their land and their resources. You know, when APC came into form, one of the things they preached was that true federalism. But when they now got into government, they set up a committee to now consider federalism again. And I'm wondering, people in APC, especially in the Southwest, they've been clamoring for true federalism. Awolowo wrote a book in 1945 or 1947 about the path to freedom. And in his book, he wrote about what he expects Nigeria to be like in terms of governance structure after independence. So people in UPN and all these APC, ADC, AD, and all those Awolowo party in the past, they've always been clamoring for true federalism. They've always been clamoring for that regional kind of government. So one would have expected that when APC came into government, if they were actually formed for good governance, then they should have followed through what they've been preaching in the past. Because if anybody has been speaking about true federalism in Nigeria, it's in the Southwest that they've always been clamoring for it. So why is it that when we have a government that was brought into place by the Southwest, we don't have anything that looks like true federalism in the country? So I think we also need to have that conversation when we have our true leaders who are altruistic. Then to answer Abdul-Samad's question, he said, why don't we focus on value-oriented people? Why are we focusing on PDP or APC? The truth is that he has a very valid point, because all the corruption taking place, if the people are not in support, they wouldn't thrive. So now that's a failure of the elites. When the elites, because every society is supposed to be governed by the elites, because the elites play a significant role in governance and in public policy shaping opinion. When the elites go to sleep or focus on their enriching themselves or taking care of their family, this is what happens in the country. So now the elites are waking up gradually now. And when they come back now, the elites are the ones that will change the mindset of the people. So without the elites, the mindset of the people cannot be changed. So I think we're on the right track regarding that. Then to Elijah's question, Elijah said there's a disconnect between the vote and the voters, that they announce wrong people as winners. I think that's in the past. I think the rigging now, in the past, somebody can win an election and they will announce somebody else. But now I think we've gone beyond that in Nigeria, and that's a good thing. What we are confronting now is the issue of vote buying. We know that if you have a free and fair election, candidate A will win. But candidate B now uses money to buy votes and he now wins. So what we are confronting now is vote buying. Osun State governorship election, when they did the first election, PDP was leading by 370. But by the time they did the rerun, PDP lost the election. If PDP had been leading by 10,000 votes, it would have been impossible for them to rig. And there's a quotation the politicians usually say, that you can only rig where you are popular. You can't rig where you are not popular. What the average politician does is that if in a polling unit, it can win you by 20 votes, it will inflate it by 200 votes. So where you are not popular, you can't rig in an unconducive atmosphere. Politicians usually rig where they are popular. So if they are not popular, they can't rig there. So that's to answer that question. Vote buying is the issue now, not announcing wrong candidates. We've gone past that in Nigeria. Then Pastor Shelere said, who is the target audience? That all our efforts, where should we be directing them? Our target audience are the grassroots. And I'm sure Pastor Ituah Ighodalo has plans towards taking our message to the grassroots. We have to come and have structures in all the local governments, in all the 120,000 polling units in Nigeria, but we need to organize ourselves first and let's have a message. If we can't go to the grassroots when we don't have a message, once we have a message, then we can now deploy that message in a strategic manner. But our message should be to the grassroots, because the grassroots is where the power is. And something I need to mention about the grassroots is that the grassroots people, they feel that the elites, there's a disconnect between the grassroots and the elites. The elites live in the expensive areas. They don't interact with people, with the grassroots and all that. So when they come to show up in the grassroots area, the grassroots they don't trust them, that this guy is just speaking grammar, he will disappear again. So we grassroots, the elites need to change their orientation to, they need to be more accessible. They need to bring themselves down. They need to relate on the level of these artisans, on people in the grassroots. Because if they don't believe that you care about them, then you can't convince them. Then the last question, Alan Adeolu, action plan for engaging the youth for the third force. I'm a small fry in the whole picture. I can't tell you the idea about third force, but if the idea comes to the table, we can work together, we can join. But I can't give you any idea on how to actualize the third force, because as of date, I'm not the one pushing the agenda. I don't even have the capacity to push the agenda. I think the question should be directed at people like Pastor Ighodalo, who can give us more light on that. And when they give the instructions, then we fall in line and do what we need to do. Then my closing remarks, I'm happy that Nigerians are showing more interest. People, I can see on the platform here, Chief Falogi, he said he was supposed to go for his medicals. He's staying here. A lot of people from Italy, from America, and all of that, professionals in Lagos here. So if you are not passionate about Nigeria, we won't be on this platform, because Pastor Ighodalo is not doing any giveaway. He's not giving any money. He's not playing any music or any nude picture or anything of that. So it means that we are passionate about Nigeria. Let us continue to invite more people to be passionate about Nigeria. And once we are passionate about Nigeria and we are involved in the governance procedure, they will listen to us. The politicians are very scared. They are chickens. They are scared of people like Pastor Ighodalo. But the truth is that they are people speaking up. They are not consistent in their speaking up. You speak for 1 year, 1 month, you keep quiet. If you continue with the force, they will run away. They will come back to you and they will beg you because they are all chickens. They are scared of the force of the people. And they saw the power of Nigerians in the EdSARS movement. So what we need to do is to organize ourselves and be consistent. When we are consistent, they will come to us, they will beg us, they will plead with us, and we will be dictating the tune. But we have to be consistent, we have to be focused, and we have to remain close to our God. So, Pastor, that's my closing remarks. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Pastor Faruq. Be close to your God. Everybody's clapping for you. Pastor, my Pastor Faruq. Politicians are chickens. I like that one. We must speak up. That's the movement we must have. Speak up, and you just push a little and you find that there's no one there. I want to thank everyone for being here. I think, like my brother Charles Iyore said, the movement has started. If we're all ready to be focused and committed, if we're ready to play our part, mobilize people, get people involved, get some resources behind what we're trying to do, I am sure we can try and do something. Adiolu Allen, you can see me about the youth question you spoke about. And then, Ari, I look forward to seeing you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Uncle Ephraim, thank you. Great to see you. You are still looking as handsome as ever with your small goatee. But you must find that money for us. That's all I can tell you. You and Shehu, your good friend. Okay, all right. Bless you all. Thank you. Auntie, good to see you. Okay, all right. God bless you. Charles, thank you. I have spoken your mind a little bit that the movement has started and we will try and make it happen. Bambo, great to see you. Elijah, God bless you. Let's do something powerful in America and make America great again. Tunde Adelakun, good to see you. Thank you for allowing us to use your wonderful residence for this program today. I'm truly grateful for everyone. Ibrahim, always great to see you. Floriat Collegium, you're a good guy, a good chip of the old block. I'm sure you know Yusuf was my classmate. I used to deal with him in those days. We've had him on this program too. Okay, all right. God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And may the Lord be with all of us in Jesus' name. Bye.
Amen. Bye, Pastor Ituah.
Thank you very much, sir. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Faruq, God bless you.
Chief Drew Jaye, thank you for being on the program. Thank you very much. Bala Shiboju, thank you. Auntie Ronke, bless you. Anif Abbas, God bless you. Bayo Onomade, God bless you. Dove Mamadou, God bless you. Leke Sani.
Yes, Pastor.
I'm looking for you. Okay. You just know that
I'll contact you later.
Tomero, God bless you. BC Bright, my dear sister, God bless you. Pastor Dakwa, it is well with you. My dear sister, Princess, God bless you, Princess Adeswa. God be with you all in Jesus' name.
Thank you so much, sir, for having this. We hope to do more. Okay?
Definitely. This, by God's grace, won't stop. We'll do it until we get it done, by God's grace. Thank you.
Thanks again, Pastor. We look forward to further action plans. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. BC or Shutoku, God bless you. Edem, good to see you. Alex Ajibade, God bless you too. Emmanuel Essien, thank you. Tokubo Tuyo, thank you. Karima, thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Ituah.
God bless you. Dolakwa, thank you. Waju, thank you. Mrs. Udomo, thank you so much. Always great to see you. Thank you. God bless you all. Bye.